Hello, hello. Is the
Hello.
room filling up? Are there people on this call?
Hello, guten Abend.
Hi.
Happy Town
Hello.
Hall.
Hello.
Great, here we go.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Happy Wednesday.
Hola a todos.
Nice, beautiful. The room is filling up. We'll let the Zoom settle in a little bit as people are joining from the waiting room. Again, you can still say hi. You have the option to do so. Let's give a few more moments. And
Hello, everyone.
hello, Casey.
150 people here today.
Hey yo.
Awesome. I think we have quite a foolish room, so that's amazing. Good morning, good day, good afternoon, good evening, essentially wherever in the world you are. Thank you for being here with us here today. It's quite a special day. We've cycled through 13 weeks of innovation, collaboration, discussions, iterations, and voting just to finally close out Fund 7 with project onboarding that's just happening these days, where about 200 projects are going through those initial steps into the open seas from the safe harbors of Catalyst, and all that so that we can kickstart Fund 7 insight sharing already tomorrow and actual proposal submissions a week later. So however, we have a lot to go through today, so please extend my sincere apologies as to the length of today's meeting. We have a lot of new members in the community for whom this may be fund number 1. So all veterans on the call, I thank you for your patience. So in case you are short on time, feel free to drop off at any point. We are, as always, recording this session for you to catch up later on, and it will be also available on IOHK's YouTube channel in due time. And I encourage you to stay with us till the end, because we will be hosting the breakout rooms, as always, to have the good conversations between one another, because that's where most of the magic happens. But now, without further ado, let's begin. I would love to invite Mr. Charles Hoskinson, the Chief Executive Officer at Input Output, to the stage to help us begin in no other fashion than reading the Welcome to the Experiment slide and then proceed to his keynote address. So in a second, I will pull up the slide and we can begin the fun. And share screen. There we go. If it's up, Mr. Hoskinson, floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. This is Charles Hoskinson from warm, sunny Colorado. So welcome to the experiment. Remember, things may break, lack documentation, differ greatly between iterations, disorient, overload, and inspire. But our goal is always to provide a safe and lively environment for you to explore the highest potential of human collaboration. Welcome, everybody. So I think Daniel's going to bring me up. There we go. All right, let's talk about where we were. Fund 7, 269 proposals funded, 22 community challenges were selected. We had over 250,000 votes, 52,000 wallets were registered. We surpassed over 1 million votes cast throughout Catalyst. And about 4 of the top 20 native tokens in terms of market cap were involved and funded through Catalyst. I just saw today, I think about $150,000 of ZK roll-up research was also funded. You know, it's a vibrant ecosystem that we've built here together. And we've gotten to a point where I can't help but think of Sam Adams's quote. It doesn't take the majority to prevail, but rather an irate, tireless minority keen on setting brush fires of freedom in the minds of men. And that's what you've done. You see, working together, what we've accomplished is a machine that is providing the necessary resources for thousands of people waking up every day to build interesting things in our ecosystem. Some of that is research, some of that is marketing, some of that are new applications, some of that's related to side chains and scalability. And if this engine, these brush fires are maintained and they grow, what's inevitably going to happen is that Cardano will accelerate in its takeover of the world. We built this product to be around for 50 years, 100 years, 150 years. We built something that's going to be here for a very long time. It's not the technology of today. It's not the commercialization of today, the use and utility of today that really matters. If you look at pictures of Denver, a lot of people are in Denver today because of Denver. If you look at pictures of that city from 1900, You'll see horses in the streets, trolleys. You'll see all kinds of industry related to the technology of that era. Denver's still here. It looks completely different. It's a completely different experience in city because there was a process to evolve. There's a governance. There's a foundation for evolution. So when we look at Cardano, we say, what is going to determine whether we stay or go, whether this protocol is permanent or temporary, has everything to do with how governance evolves. And I'd say the single most important thing is participation. And the reality is that that tireless minority is just that. It's a tireless minority. People on this call, the people voting, the people thinking, the people interacting every day, they're lifers, but that's an unreasonable expectation for every single ADA holder. So we asked a lot, how do you build a system where everybody has a voice, but not everybody is expected to participate every single day? How do you go from direct democracy to some form of representative democracy? So there's great books like Josiah Ober's Demopolis and other things that float around, and people have been opining and talking about this for a long time. But one thing I've really admired is the idea of liquid democracy, because it maps so beautifully to what we've already experimented and done with the stake pool model, where not everybody's going to run a stake pool. Not everybody can. Grandma's not going to do that. And similarly, not everybody's going to read proposals and sit down and figure these things out and decide the direction in the future, but representatives would. So what we did is we looked at what has been done in the last 30 years in the liquid democracy world. And we talked a lot about how do you build a voting system where we can experiment, break things, and try with these ideas. So we came up with this idea of a dRep. And something new that's rolling out is now the ability for people, instead of directly participating, to find an expert that they value or a collection of experts that they value, that they think would be good representatives for their voice, and delegate their voting power to them, to those dReps. And I believe we are going to experiment with up to potentially 150 at a time. So it looks like Catalyst beat Cardano at the idea of partial delegation. And so what this allows to happen is a very liquid, fluid, representative democracy, where people who have invested the time and the effort into building a brand and a reputation, to being here for Cardano, being part of that tireless minority, now have the ability to actually step up and become part of a nascent proto-government and basically help make decisions about the direction, the priorities, what ought to get funded, what not ought to get funded. This year, we're going to see more growth than we've ever seen before in terms of commercial adoption, in terms of sustainability of the underlying protocol and scalability of the underlying protocol. But we're also going to see the most growth we've ever seen towards self-determination. Everything from parameters to the update system, to the building of a government, to a constitution for Cardano. All of these things are in sight, and we're working towards those things. And if we pull this off, what we have accomplished is the single greatest thing that has ever been accomplished in the history of the cryptocurrency space. Bitcoin, Ethereum, all of these protocols, they're snapshots of genius. But just like any snapshot of genius, no matter how great the genius is, it doesn't last. Da Vinci's helicopter is not in the sky. It's just the truth of the matter. You have to build things in a way that they grow, evolve, and learn from the lessons of the past. And they include new voices, new ideas, and new directions. That's what we're after. That's what we're chasing here. And this concept of a dRep ensures that there's an ever-growing supply of brilliance, of new ideas, new capabilities, as well as custodians of some of the old philosophies and ideas, and that balance between progress and conservatism that you always need for stable institutions to form. Now, there are many problems we have to overcome. When we look to the governments of today, we look to the institutions of today, global, national, local. I don't think anybody in the world is particularly happy with governance. We're just not. Even things that used to be put in very high regard, medicine, for example. A lot of people today are pretty angry, and rightfully so, because it's not clear what's actually true. It's not clear how oversight works, accountability works. And it's not clear when there are perverse incentives how to resolve that. And it doesn't seem to be getting any better. It seems to be getting worse. The world is less peaceful today. The world is less prosperous today, less trusting today. So we have to ask, why did these institutions fail? They failed because they didn't have basic properties, rule of law, inclusive accountability, oversight, and transparency. They didn't have basic reinforcing mechanisms to correct problems when they were discovered. Problems were allowed to linger, to fester like a wound that gets infected. So when we look to our own government, when we look to our own vision, our own future, because at some point soon, Cardano is going to be used for millions of people throughout the world for their day-to-day financial lives, for e-voting, for company governance, potentially even the infrastructure of real governments. We're moving in that direction. It's not outside the realm of possibility. The next 24, 36 months, at least one nation's national ID system will be hosted by our infrastructure. It's not outside the realm of possibility that at least one central bank will in some way connect its monetary policy to ours, just like El Salvador has connected it to Bitcoin. If we with a straight face say we can do better and we can restore institutional legitimacy, we have to demonstrate as a community that we are better. We have to demonstrate as a community that we are capable of this tremendous burden, this custodial burden, that we're able to communicate. We don't have the same toxicity, the same tribes and factionalism and politics of personal destruction. We have to demonstrate to the world that we are capable of doing things differently. And if a person uses Cardano for governance, they use our infrastructure for critical things like people's money and liberty and freedom, that there's a certain level of trust there you can't get anywhere else. So this DREP experiment is an extension of that process. That's an extension of that vision and that dream. It's giving us a chance to show we can somehow converge to institutions that can be trusted, not just today, but 50 years from now, 100 years from now, and are always going to renew themselves in light of wisdom and new technology. Now, it's also a very exciting time because very rare in a person's life do you get to participate in the birth of a new government. My own nation, that was more than 200 years ago. And now we're back here out of necessity, because if we don't do this, we know where the world is going to go. And we know where our industry is going to go. Recently, I read out a blog post from Moxie Marlinspike. He's one of the creators of the Signal protocol. He's a brilliant guy, very cynical guy too. You know, if you're in information security, you tend not to trust what's on the label. You're always looking for the thing under the label. And so he looked at Web3 and DeFi with open eyes and said, all right, well, I'll take you at face value. I'm going to go create an NFT and see what I can do with it. And then he discovered that there's no integrity check in the standards, which means that he can switch the pictures at any time, go from one wallet to another wallet, goes from a picture of something to a picture of poo. And where does the information come from? A blockchain? We tell everybody it's decentralized, it's immutable, it's timestamped, it's auditable. Well, it turns out it actually comes from a central company, in that case, OpenSea. All these dApps that are built, there's decentralized. Yeah. Turns out, well, the vast majority of them actually run their infrastructure on two different companies, Infura and Alchemy. Is that truly what we signed up for? Was that truly honoring the commitments? No. Because it turns out that decentralization is really fucking hard. It requires new protocols and research. It requires a lot of frustration, a lot of back and forth. It turns out the human race doesn't tend to do that very well. We love leaders. We love the strong man. We love trusting some institution to save everything for us. So part of this experiment that we are conducting as a community together is asking, where are those balance points between the leaders and the federation and the anarchy of decentralization? And how do we build a system that is self-regulating and self-sustaining and truly does accomplish the preservation of its principles. At the end of the day, we're nothing as an industry if we can't preserve our principles. Why people choose crypto and blockchain is not because of fancy fun names. It's because we tell the world we're different. And if we're going to honor that, we have to make sure that the governance systems we have and the self-regulation systems that we have give us the ability to actually preserve that difference. Every day, we should aspire to be a little bit more decentralized and inclusive. Every day, we should aspire to welcome more and give people more say over their day-to-day lives. And every day, we should aspire to be a bit more usable and scalable and efficient, and ultimately cover more industries. This is now as much your job, if not more so, than mine. The dReps have to carry on this philosophy and think about this and internalize this. The ecosystem trusts you in this respect. Every day, you have to think about it. You have to light those brush fires. You have to ask, what does that truly mean? You have to hold people accountable. But paradoxically, you also have to be nice about it. Can't become toxic assholes, or else we're no better than the political system that we are trying to replace, no better than the protocols that we're trying to replace. We have every ability to be great, and we have every ability to succumb to the same sins of the past: maximalism, tribalism, this elitism that we've seen formed in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other ecosystems, which ultimately is self-defeating. So it's going to be a great experiment, this fun, and it's going to be fun to see what you build and what we can keep. From our part at IO, we're waking up every day and trying to build as many great protocols as we can. We have wonderful things on the horizon: pipelining and input endorsers, Mithril, beautiful experiences like a voting center right into the wallets. And we've brought to bear tens of millions of dollars of financing. We've brought to bear hundreds of engineers. We've brought to bear 15 plus companies now that wake up every single day and try to make this ecosystem their priority. We're also in deep negotiations with the Cardano Foundation and discussions about how do we build an open source project that rivals Linux, an open source project that is managed by institutions, not just entities, that are enduring and balancing each other out. So there are many discussions in the coming months that are difficult, but I think will converge to a point where we with a straight face can say we've done better. And we with a straight face can say that we can match up against any protocol in this space. Your part of the equation is helping us build a government together. And this is one of the first and most meaningful steps in that direction, identifying a broad set of leaders and finding a way to think carefully about the philosophy of the system. It's not too far away that we start talking about a proper Cardano constitution. And it's not too far away that we start talking about something that we feel is going to exist for decades to come. And then we can show the world that and embrace that. And if we do our job, I firmly believe that in the decades to come, that Cardano will be as meaningful as Vince Cerf's work on TCP/IP, and will become a global piece of infrastructure for billions of people. So that's a tremendous responsibility that we all now share. So thank you so much for being part of the Catalyst community and coming along with us in the last 7 funding rounds. It's been a hell of a ride. We've learned a lot. It's been stressful at times, but also incredibly fun. And you are changing the lives of people everywhere in the world, and you are inspiring people everywhere in the world. And Fund 8 is our biggest yet. I'll have the highest level of participation yet. It's like a great spiral. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And no matter where on the spiral you get, if you stay around long enough, you'll see it get even bigger. Thank you all for coming, and I'll turn it over to you, Dor. Cheers.
Amazing, Charles. Thank you so much. I'm sure we all feel energized and great, and have the sense of seeing the bigger picture of what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish here. So Charles, really appreciate you coming here and sharing your wisdom and sharing your vision. And yeah, and we're gonna carry the torch. We're gonna make it happen. Danny, do you want to start to open the slides? I think what I want is I kind of transition into the next steps for dReps, for you to kind of orient yourself around the role and how you can get involved. Okay. So now we're gonna talk a bit about the nitty-gritty. And I think the most important thing to say is we're going to implement this in steps throughout this year and slowly and carefully. Let's start with what we know really well. Okay, so liquid democracy, we're going to implement a very specific model of liquid democracy called absolute liquid democracy. Basically, what it means is that you, the general Cardano community members, can do one of two things. First of all, like direct democracy, you can just directly vote on proposals. And later this year, we're going to introduce elections, okay, where we can elect representatives to sit in various Cardano councils. So any ADA holder that's eligible for voting could directly vote, remain and vote on catalyst proposals and the elections. An additional option that we're going to uncover throughout this year in steps is the ability to elect delegate representatives, or as we call them, the dReps, that can take these decisions basically for you. What's really nice about our model is that your delegation can be revoked and changed at any point of time. Okay, so unlike a regular democracy where you elect a representative and they basically for years, he can do whatever, there's total accountability, because at any point you can choose to revoke your delegation and transfer it to someone else. Next slide, please. So how does it look in the big picture? Okay, so as I said, you can directly vote on catalyst proposals, or you can select a group of dReps that would vote on catalyst proposals. And there's this election mechanism that I mentioned before. And this would have two types of councils: technical councils that would have domain experts, and Cardano Circle that would be representatives of different functional groups from the community. This would be elected from via direct voting or by the dRep, and that two groups are going to be a bicameral decision-making system. That means that they need to agree on a change, and they can approve either changes in the Cardano protocol or approve a transfer from our treasury and our monetary policy for the treasury. Okay, so these parts, the Voltaire governance, protocol changes, treasury transfers, and policy, they're not happening today. Okay, this is going to be released and communicated and discussed throughout the year. So don't worry. I just wanted to give you kind of the big overall view of how this looks like, where we headed. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's talk about the absolute part in absolute liquid democracy. Okay, so a common misconception is that you would be able to, let's say, define an expert, and then that expert would, just vote on things from their own domain. This is not how it's going to look like. Okay, we're talking about an absolute delegation model. We're basically starting from the left here. You as an individual, you pick a team. Okay, so here you see there's 8, even 9, I think. 9 representatives here. You can select roughly up to 150 when you register to vote. You can roughly elect a very large team, and for each one of those team members, you could allocate a certain percentage of your voting power. Okay, so in the example here, let's say this is Stephanie, you gave her 2% of your voting power, you're delegating to her. She's an expert in governance, okay? This is Sarah, okay? You gave her 10% of your voting power, and she's a technical leader and proven herself over the years, so you trust her. Up to 150 people. So we are completely changing the dynamics of how representative governance works. Instead of having this zero-sum rivalrous situation where everybody's running to be on top and beat the other person in a toxic and deconstructive way, we are creating teams of collaborators, large groups of a win-win, where people can form teams together, form where there's like capturing large domains of expertise, many insights, extremely inclusive, and we're setting up the foundations for a new type of leadership, a new type of governance, one that doesn't alienate good, sensitive, sensible people, and just leaves the ground to sociopaths and the people who just can take the toxicity and fight. We're moving to a completely new paradigm. And with this new paradigm in the infrastructure, there's a change in the paradigm of our mindset as we're going to this. And what we expect is not to have a group of people deciding in isolation, in a silo, going through a ballot, voting yes, no, yes, no. What we expect is this strong layer of coordination, where these people get to know each other, trust in other, build relationship, form different cohorts of experts, consult each other, develop and evolve techniques for good decision-making, for collecting data, analyzing it, adopting best practices of sharing the knowledge that would actually lead to high-quality decisions in a way that was not even conceived before. And we are now at the forefront of this. Next slide. So to kickstart this process, we are launching the first dRep cohort. And as you watching this video and you wonder, what's in it for me? So this cohort would be a place to support your future candidacy, help you build your legitimacy, help people, you would be exposed to early information about how to register, how does the system work, learn from others, coordinate with others. It's an opportunity for you to grow as leaders, to share the hard parts and the fun parts and the learning parts and the training parts, and ramp yourself up to be a leader. And part of being a leader is sometimes understanding that you also need to grow. It's not that you're not necessarily always right or always have the right skills, but you have a growth mindset and you inspire others to adopt the same. And it's about influencing the process itself. So this whole delegation system and the councils and everything that goes forward in Voltaire, you kind of form a focus group that can give us more input and more insights about how to make it better and more fitting for the needs of the Cardano community. And it's also a way to develop, for us to kickstart all the coordination methods and trust and the processes and the human processes to build this coordination layer. And this is a really opportunity to be a real pioneer, and not just about the control of Catalyst funds, but the Cardano protocol itself as a whole. Next slide. So how do you do this? Well, there should be a link to a form now, but it's not here. But I'm sure it will be shared over chat, and hopefully maybe we can share it also with our YouTube viewers later. So look under the video. for a link to a form. And we want you to express your interest by the submission deadline, which is the 28th of February. And yeah, and we will let you know of next steps after that. And I would say I think from the chat about incentives, yes, they will be incentivized. We are currently working on the design, the specifics of the design of the incentive system, but one guideline is that we want that decentralized representatives that receive adequate support from the community, that means that they have some threshold of ADA delegated to them, can do that as their main occupation, can do this as their main thing of work, and it can sustain them, whether they live in the West or in the East or wherever in the world. That could be their job. It's not something we take lightheartedly. We want the best and kindest to be part of this cohort, and that would entail, having a means to sustain yourself through being a decentralized rep. Once the delegation actually goes into action. So, with that said, I want to give many, many thanks to all the stewards of Catalyst that made this happen. Thank you so much. So thank you, Nemanja, Kriss, Kevin, Chris, Harris, Mike, Osren, Bosco, Julia, Michael, Sasha, Derek, Daniel, Eugene, Giacomo, Alex, Marek, Agustina, Juan, German, Enzo, Eric, Guillermo, Delphine, Vinsheng, Roman, Maria, Dimitro, Philip, Tony, Mark, Denitza, Tom, Joaquin, Ada, Matas, Fernando, Luz, Dinal, Jer, Roman, Charles, Tamara, Tim, Anna, Rod, Eric, Ben, Matthew, TK, Tim, Jack, Philip, Alex, Nicola, Junko, Nam, Lara, Joel, Samuel, John, Michael, Tim, Kasla, Victor, J, Carlos, Svetan, and many more. And I would like to thank, next slide, you, the people who are actually making all of this happen, the advisors, the proposers, the funded cohorts, the voters, the challenge team, the communicators, the doers, and especially you, the lurkers, that are waiting for your moment to shine. Thank you so much. Let's get this fund rolling. Danny, or is it for Danny or Chris?
I think we are rolling. What a start. So again, I'll just piggyback on it. Thank you to everyone who is here today on the call. I see we have quite a lot of new faces. I think we broke a little bit of record on the simultaneous Zoom attendees today. So again, if you are here today for the first time, welcome. We are going to take a little bit step back and slow things down. So if these things are not making sense just yet, we're going to take a little bit of a breather and go through the basics of the Catalyst as well during some of the later segments of this town hall. But before we do, in no other fashion, Fund 7 is behind us, and what a better way to close it out than with a feedback survey. So as you've seen those in the past, please take time out of your day if you do find this appreciated, and let us know your thoughts, how you interacted with the Fund 7, what was good, what was bad, where we can learn, and what are the opportunities to iterate. So you will probably find the link in the chat box here below, and it will be open for a couple of weeks, so you don't have to rush to it just now. So again, thank you for taking time to do so. And it's been quite a ride. This slide is a lot of things, but just think of it where we're coming from in Fund 2, which was about a year ago to date when we were distributing the first round of the funds in the beginning of 2020. The whole bucket was the size of the $250,000 worth in ADA, and we are just launching a fund which is at 16 million. And who would have thought a year later that this is exactly where we are going to be here today. So thank you everyone who's making this happen, as you can see, across the different domains, whether just being a member, lurker, participating as a voter, being a proposer, community advisor, referrer, everybody else, including being a part of the town hall, just like you are here today. But let's dial it down a little bit. I know it may have been a little confusing for a lot of people who are here on the call with us for the first time. So let's dial it back a little bit and let's go through the basics a bit of it. What the heck is a project catalyst? Well, traditionally within the Cardano community, it's been all about approving the concept of treasury management. And over time, as we're learning today, if the processes are seen legitimate, we'll be able to speak to more than just who gets funded. But today in Fund 7, what we are doing, we are asking how Cardano community can manage the treasury in a fair and impactful way. And you may be asking, why is that important? Well, Cardano treasury is the key to permanent sustainability of our ecosystem. It is how we are able to self-fund ourselves and to evolve and stay relevant. As you know, every fund, about 20% from the rewards distribution each epoch goes to the Cardano treasury. And today it's about 800 million ADA, and we're just playing with a tiny bit of it, iterating step-by-step methodically so that we can down the line unlock the true potential of the Cardano treasury as such. And in order to break down the process a bit more meaningfully, we're looking usually into like 3 major stages in a catalyst. Well, each new fund starts with the innovation phase. And this is where you, me, everyone else on this call finds ourselves today in. This is where we create and generate ideas and turn them best of them into actionable proposals to address the various challenges and different topics. And then we move into the second bubble, the governance phase, whose purpose is to generate good decisions out of the bank of quality proposals. So making those right decisions, who are the most worthy getting of those funds? And then you're literally looking at the conversion of circumstances, the high quality proposals that have the right timing, right people behind them. And once that converges and you go through the governance stage, you end up in the execution. And this is where the high quality implementation begins. And as a sum of all of these parts, then we're looking at what we call about what yields a treasury ROI. And now you may know ROI as a return on investment, but here we mean return on intention. So what is the intention of our communities? And where do these intentions come from? Well, the intentions usually manifest themselves in the form of the challenges as set forth by each fund. And what are those challenges about? Well, we are solving wicked problems together. But what is a wicked problem? It's a very hard one, a complicated one, probably tried in the past. We haven't been successful in fixing it up yet. And there's probably a great deal of uncertainty about the right way to do it. And it may be also very difficult to define it. And every fund, we start by setting these challenges, and then we deploy solutions through proposals. And once funded, we measure the ROI, and then we iterate and do it all over again. That's why we are here in Fund 8 at the beginning. And this iteration is really the secret sauce of what's happening in the catalyst, the tracking, the measuring, the improving, and ended up in a better place than we started initially. So it's all interconnected. We start with challenges, looking at which are the right problems. We go through the proposals, looking at the right solutions. We then apply the expert layer, looking at making the right decisions. And then finally, we're looking to the accelerate to see whether we are making the right execution as such. So at the end of the day, we're talking about the crowds that are being able to explore without cuffs, so that to seek solutions, the opportunities by actually innovating together, voting and discussing and making meaningful decisions, and by staying up to date with what's happening. And what does the outcome of that look like? Well, today we're going to get a little bit of a bite of it. I'll let Kriss Baird jump in just to tell us about how Fund 7 onboarding has been going. So Kriss, mic is yours. What's happening?
Thanks very much, Danny. I'm going to take a breath after all of that and let just this slide sink in. So for everybody that's looking at this slide, maybe your logo's on here, maybe your logo's not on here yet, but this is something to celebrate. Each and every fund, we have doubled the amount of ideas, doubled the amount of proposals that have been funded, and we are on a trajectory for 2022 to support over 2,100 proposals funded. That is staggering. This is, as it says, hundreds of projects working together, almost thousands of people that have been funded to date, and so long may it continue. For those of you that haven't had your logo added to this slide, just remember, we only onboarded most of you yesterday. So we may have had your logo from you, but you know, the caravan keeps on moving. We are working very, very hard to keep all of our assets updated. But if you're not here yet and you have submitted your logo, you will be soon. But the point is, this is a phenomenal amount of innovation energy, and that's essentially what Catalyst is all about. It's helping to elevate and provide a platform to get great ideas kicked off and launched into the wild. So if you're new to Catalyst and you're thinking about putting on a proposal, just realize and visualize your logo being here. And I wish you the best of luck, and hopefully it will manifest very, very soon. But to talk about what we've been doing over the last 24 hours, Danny, can we go to the next slide, please? We have onboarded over half of the projects that have been funded in Fund 7. Actually, it's probably a little more over half, because of those 269 projects, maybe some of them have got more than one project that's being funded, and we're just going through the administration, the checks and balances to ensure that we have captured everybody's onboarding forms and they've gone through the process with us. So what this looks like is everybody shows up to a meeting, our onboarding meeting, and we're very fortunate to have challenge teams, which we'll be explaining a little bit more about later on today. And these challenge teams are helping to facilitate these onboarding sessions. The challenge teams are very much stewards of their challenge, and they're helping to work closely with the funded project teams to onboard them, make sure they've got all the support and resources, know what they're meant to be doing next, and helping to initiate their funded project. We have this onboarding meeting so that every funded project demonstrates what we call proof of life. And what proof of life is very simply, as it says on the tin, it's to ensure that there is a human behind the proposal or the wallet address that we've received during the application and submission process. And then, having had this onboarding meeting and teams being able to demonstrate proof of life, we can really get on into the meat and bones, the nitty gritty. You guys that are being funded, you're now able to be funded to start kicking off your projects and start delivering what you've committed to the community to deliver. And then from there on in, every 2 weeks, we hold a meeting called the Catalyst Coordinator Meeting. What is the Catalyst Coordinator, I hear you ask? Well, next slide, please, Danny. The coordinator is a place in time and a space for us all to meet. And it's a process, I would see more so than just an event or a meeting, where we bring everybody together, as many proposers and teams together that have been funded in Catalyst from the very first fund right through to where we are today, because we really believe that there's a strength and a power in collaboration. We bring everybody together because each one of you is more than the sum of all of your parts, and you're all adding value to Cardano. So coming together and coordinating these efforts, we believe that there's a stronger chance of being able to solve and address the challenges in tensions. The funded teams come together, they share ideas, they challenge each other sometimes on their thinking and their approaches. Often they make connections and decide to collaborate more broadly, or make introductions and help funded teams to connect with their own networks. Now, this meeting is a recorded meeting. It's also a stand-up. So we ask for each team to give a short report and summary of what they've done since the last meeting. And the reason for this is that, as it says on the slide, it helps to build trust and establish some integrity about your project with the community. This is, I think, a core construct of what we're trying to achieve within Catalyst. This accountability that you said you're going to deliver a project and therefore you're delivering it, but your voting community wants to know about it. So we're asking that each team provides a short report each month and attends these meetings so that they can communicate and connect with other people that are within their cohort. And the final point around this is that it really is part of the pathway into being able to receive additional business support and incubation programs. We're very fortunate to work with other teams within the IOG sphere, like the Atala Prism team, the Plutus Pioneers team, and they're developing these courses that funded proposers can have first dibs and a first opportunity to join. And then we have launched a number of incubator projects as well, like the Catalyst Boost Camp, the IO Incubator for Africa-focused projects. And now with Fund 7, we're funding another 12 projects that have been successful in the Accelerators and Mentors Challenge, which is just going to add a whole new level of professional organizations coming into our community to help develop these growth programs for the startups and the ventures and the project teams that are being funded under Catalyst. Could I go to the next slide, please? Now, in just yesterday's 2 onboarding meetings, we had representatives from each one of these countries. There's around 40 countries here on this list. And I think it's just absolutely staggering just to even consider that if you think that this is 150 odd projects out of the 1,000 proposals that were received in Fund 7, and we're now at close to 600 projects funded since the very first fund took place. And so just in this one fund alone, we had all 4 corners of the planet represented. I think it's absolutely inspiring. I'm rocked every single day that I get up to come to work, and we really welcome all of these Fund 7 cohorts into the coordinator community. And I will hand back to Daniel on that point.
What a map. I hope we're going to hit every single country soon enough, because this is quite inspiring thing. Thank you, Kriss. Yeah, so how do we make these things work? All of these countries, all of these different experiences, backgrounds, and everything. I think the key is that we are collaborating in a non-rivalrous process, right? We're not here to compete and take each other down like in a ring. We're here to support and collaborate as a crowd. And it's unlike something you may have really experienced till now, when you apply for grants, schools, government subsidies, or, anything of that nature. Everybody's focused on competing, everybody's hiding, protecting from one another, because you don't know where the blow is going to come from, right? Expecting to be attacked or expecting to be taken advantage of. And, decisions are quite often in that realm made in dark. And our goal is to go rather in the opposite direction as such, where the openness, transparency, really the collaboration become the hallmarks of the engagement. And we're measuring what sorts of outcomes can come out of this process and learning from it really every step of the way. And this slide really outlines the basic flow of the fund nowadays and each of their stages. And the full cycle as such, it can be expected in about 3 months' time from ideation all the way through the funding as such. So again, for everyone who's here new on the call, well, and anyone else who isn't, let's do a little bit of reminder. We know the likes of the Bitcoin, we know the likes of the Linux, Wikipedia, GoFundMe, Kickstarter, and they all started with very small group of committed citizens. And when you look at all these projects, they all started as very crazy and quite unreasonable ideas at first. Linux, just think of that, bunch of devs working across the world, across the time zones, doing open source and competing with someone like the big players like Microsoft. It surely sounds quite ridiculous when you think of it. But look what happened today and where we are, and same for many others. So idea of actually a fund where we are here today, governed by tens of thousands of people working collaboratively, is quite unheard. And all of you must be really crazy to be participating in it and being here today on a town hall itself as well. But I think we have really good shot at joining this club of really amazing outcomes in the history as such. So, and what are the key hallmarks of the Catalyst funds? Why can we try and be better? And how do we innovate quickly? Because, you often ask about well, why haven't the regular companies taken over the entire world already? Well, there are some constrictions. There's some major issues and blockages, and you can see them here. So like, how can we as a catalyst be a little bit better? Well, let's say if you are a regular company, even if you are like a super lean startup, you could pivot maybe couple times a year, 4 times a year. And that's assuming that you really work at a breakneck speed with a very minimum downtime. But when you're talking about larger companies, the picture gets even more complicated. The pivot is much more complicated in that scenario as well, where you go into maybe perhaps every once in a few years. But with Catalyst, look at the number of the projects we're funding now, each fund. You are essentially doing hundreds of experiments parallel to each other, which is really a several levels of magnitude more than what a regular company could do. Another quite interesting element would be that if any given company in the regular world tries to explore and exploit at the same time, and when I say that, it's quite difficult thing to do, to innovate actually, and then also optimize and maintain the existing services and generate the revenues. That's why like the research actually shows that 3/4 of innovation initiatives actually fail within their scope. But, we argue that crowds like these can explore with those minimum cuffs. You can just simply grab an idea and you can run with it to explore its potential. And that's thanks to its decentralized nature. One, me, you, whomever on this call, you really do not need permission to start something. And much less to the notion of innovation. You see a problem, you think of a solution and just go with it. Another thing, if you want to take a new direction and build consensus in a company, you really need to get people aligned. Unless you're really a high-ranking executive, it is really hard to get anything done. So you need to get that widespread consensus around the idea first. And then maybe if it takes too long, you end up missing the boat. But in Catalyst, you have a really flat structure. There's lesser need for consensus at first, because why? Well, results speak for themselves. And that's what we really look for and care for. And those who create generate results, and if those results are good, they will be receiving the funding. And it's a big $1 trillion problem. It's happening in all the companies around the world, where big corporations and companies, they really don't have departments collaborating effectively with each other. And why? Well, it's the misalignment of incentives. Everybody's role is to please their boss, but if you have a different boss in a different department, what really takes you to work together? There isn't much. And hence why these companies very often have problems in innovation as such. Whereas like in Cardano, we are quite bonded by a single ADA, the token, and are quite well aligned to be working in that non-rivalrous process. So let's take those advantages and let's keep driving the innovation as such. And if you want to know why to participate, well, there's many reasons. A few of them are listed here on the slide. But probably the key one is building your reputation. How you come out, how you present yourself, and how you're building, it all matters. And it gives you really a good opportunity to actually influence where and how Cardano evolves today. And potentially, if we grow large enough, it gives you the ability to make a pretty good supplement of your income and maybe even go full-time, as we've seen over the course of the past months, where more and more people are able to take and devote themselves fully into the Catalyst. And that's really, really exciting. At the end of the day, we might just be making a little bit of a history together. So just jump right in. There's all these different ways how you can contribute, starting with the most apparent, and that is being the proposer, where you can create those proposals and being able to collaborate with the community to develop solutions to the challenges which are presented. And that same perhaps goes for the implementers, those who actually bring those funded projects into the actual real life projects. But it does not really start and end here with submitting the proposals. You can also do other things. You can simply offer a helping hand in other supporting roles as a community advisor, as a referrer, or directly as a voter. There's a little bit for everyone in that instance. There's also 2 additional groups, veteran community advisors, who serve as a quality assurance layer and make sure that the work that is carried out by community advisors is up to the standard. But lastly, not least, what Kriss talked about earlier, the challenge teams as well. So where does that leave us for the upcoming fund as such? Well, here are some sums. We still have one pending item to identify and communicate, and that's Fund 9 challenge setting. It hasn't been formally set yet. We expect that to happen over the course of next days. But what we do know outside of the budget for the Fund 9 challenge setting is the actually outcome of the Fund 8 challenge setting. So Kriss, where does that leave us? What did we find out?
Yeah, I think this is again another testament to community voting and coming up with a priority list that is again truly staggering, I believe. So with this budget of $12.8 million worth of ADA that's available for funding projects, we can say that there's 5 challenges on the ballot and on the roster that are worth over $1 million or more worth of ADA each. This includes $2.2 million worth of ADA across 2 challenges to grow our developer ecosystem, 2 challenges that are focused on decentralized identity, the self-sovereign identity challenge, as well as also the accelerated decentralized identity challenge. We've got the adapted integrations challenge for $2.5 million worth of ADA, $1 million worth of ADA for Cardano scaling solutions. And then I'm really pleased to see a whole load of new challenges that are coming into the fold, such as the Great Migration, which I think is going to be very interesting, an open standards and interoperability challenge, which I think is fantastic, thinking about open standards and interoperability, funnily enough, like how do we take what we've learned within the context of Cardano and being able to bring this into more of an open source realm and being able to connect with potentially other blockchains or other sorts of protocols and standards that are out there. And then I'm really pleased to see that the Grow Cardano challenge theme has got a resurgence, not just Grow Africa, Grow Cardano, but Grow East Asia, Grow Cardano, welcome. And for the very first time, I'm really pleased to see Grow India, Grow Cardano. And then there's another challenge that I think is very interesting around film and media, Creatives Unite. So this, should really help to inspire a lot of the creative industries to come and step into our world and see what opportunities there are to bring new rich media contents into Catalyst and the Cardano ecosystem. Yeah, that's about all I need to say on that for the time being. Just to sort of mention the challenge teams initiative, we have been running the Fund 7 challenge teams pilot, and this is going to continue. And as I mentioned earlier on, the challenge teams really are here to sort of steward the challenge and help the IAG and Catalyst team and Catalyst community to be able to make sense of the challenges that are coming through this prioritization process. So if you think that you have a good amount of understanding and knowledge or expertise and passion to help make these challenges more impactful, we'd really like to hear from you. The role is really about, as I said, helping to decentralize stewardship of Catalyst and Cardano. Those that have been proposing those challenges that have been funded, they are able to be they have the first choice as to whether or not to be a part of the challenge team or not. But in quite a lot of instances, there are challenge teams that really lack a team. Maybe you're a single sole proposer that put forward a great challenge idea, and now potentially there might be 10 or 20 projects that are now going to be under your stewardship. Well, you really should look to maybe work and collaborate with others to help produce some great outcomes for that challenge. And as a result of that, what we've learned from Fund 7 challenge team so far is that you need to be remunerated for that time. So there's been a change to the current process. So Fund 7 was the first pilot, and for Fund 8, as we understand, there's a lot more funding that's available. We can expect there to be many more projects that are funded. So we're earmarking up to $5,000 worth of ADA per challenge in Fund 8. So we will be running an after town hall session, which I will be hosting. So come and join me in that after the town hall breakout room if you'd like to learn more. Thanks, Danny.
And now we'd like to carry over to what's happening at Catalyst School. Victor, are you here with us? If so, welcome and help us walk through all the cool stuff that are going to happen over the course of a week or so.
Yeah, hi Danny, hi everyone. So I'm here today to present some updates and announcements about Catalyst School. For those who don't know about Catalyst School, we are a community project. We submitted a few proposals in funds 6 and 7. We got funded. And what we do is we teach people about Catalyst, especially newcomers, how Catalyst works, what are the different roles, and how they can play these different roles as well. So we basically help people to find their places inside Catalyst project. So if you can move the next slide, Danny, please. This is our workshop schedule for Fund 8. We are going to have 2 workshops for each of the, let's say, traditional topics: Introduction to Catalyst, Proposing in Catalyst, how to be a community advisor, and how to be a veteran community advisor. The first one is going to be the Introduction to Catalyst. It's going to happen today in the after town hall. I'm going to be there. So if you are new here, if it's your first time in a town hall, or you've just found out about Catalyst, please join us during this breakout room. We also have some different workshops, for example, the mini proposal workshop by Tivo. If you have an idea, but you don't know how to build your proposal, how to write it, and how to think about the different things that need to be there, requirements for a good proposal, you can join this workshop as well. There are 2 scheduled already, but 3 more will be defined. Their dates will be defined throughout the fund. And also the open source training workshop, which is a partnership between the Catalyst School and the QA DAO, which is going to be focused mainly on organizing, documenting the challenge teams, Catalyst Circle, and also for CAs. And the dates are yet to be defined. So if you follow our channels, which I'm going to share the links a few slides ahead, you can get to know when we define the dates for these workshops. Next slide, Danny, please. So now in Fund 7, we just got funded for a new initiative, which is the Insight Sharing Workshop Series. We are bringing a new way for people to brainstorm collectively about the challenges that were set in Fund 7 to happen now in Fund 8. So the idea here is to bring together domain experts, proposers, community advisors, challenge teams, and basically anyone who is interested in a specific challenge. We've done this once in Fund 7 for the dApps and Integrations Challenge. We had James from Gimbal Labs there. It was really cool. If you want to check the recording, it is in the Catalyst School YouTube channel. And now for Fund 8, we are going to do the same thing for 4 different challenges: improve and grow auditability, accelerate decentralized identity, cross-chain collaboration, and scale up Cardano community hubs. The dates are already defined, the hosts as well, as you can see here: Stephen, Tommy, Philip, and Felix. And for the accelerate decentralized identity, we are going to have the Atala Prism team there. Maybe Tony Rose or something from his team is going to be there, and in 2 different time zones, so we can have people from both Eastern and Western sides of the globe participate. So they are going to happen next week during the Insight Sharing phase. So if you are interested, please join us. And the link to register and put this in your calendar is in the Catalyst School link tree, which is going to be presented 2 slides ahead. Next slide, please, Danny. So some updates and highlights. The school website is about to launch. We were funded to build a website during Fund 6, and it's almost ready. We're just coming up with the content so we can open it for everyone. This is probably happening next week or the week after. And the one-to-one support sessions request form is currently closed because we are checking with everyone from the different countries if they can still provide one-to-one support now in Fund 8. But we are expecting to be able to provide support sessions in 14 or 15 languages now in Fund 8. we are about to announce this. And we got funded for the school ATAM. Actually, I'm saying we, but it's a different management team. We are decentralizing the Catalyst School as well. We are incentivizing people from different places in the world to submit proposals together with us, but they would take charge of managing and providing the workshops, support sessions, and everything else. And also from a funded proposal in partnership with WADA in fund, it says Fund 7 here, but actually it was Fund 6, sorry. We had a partnership proposal to have local workshops in Africa, and we just had the first one, actually 2 workshops last Saturday in Ouagadougou, the capital of Burkina Faso, and we had throughout the day 135 people attending the workshops, and they were really interested about Catalyst. They are now in our main list, and we are looking forward to onboard them and have them in our community here. And besides this, there is also another initiative in partnership with the Bridge Builders. We are starting a entrepreneurship book club now in Fund 8. If you want to participate, please join the Catalyst School Discord server, because we are having these discussions there. And I think the first meeting is going to be at the end of this month. Nori can share more details maybe here in the chat. And that's it. Here are some links in the next slide. So you can join us in Discord, Telegram, website, email, and Linktree as well. As I mentioned, you can register for the insight sharing workshops. In the Linktree, there is a link for each one of them there. And we are also going to include the links for the usual Catalyst School workshops. Thank you.
Brilliant, Victor and Paul. Thank you very much. I think somebody, Felix, said that never thought that I would like a school that much. And I think I can share that sentiment. And somebody else said, and probably if I could be showing a little bit of goosebumps, the journey that you guys come from. And it just showcases, like, you know, there's a gap, there's an opportunity. And if you grab and run with it, amazing and beautiful things can happen. So Victor and everybody else at the Catalyst School team, thank you very much for spearheading all the education, because everybody knows we need more than ever, with ever increasing capacity of the Catalyst ecosystem as such. Having said that, there's a lot of other things happening in the ecosystem as well. And as you know, we've had a special governance day just a week ago, and now we're going to hear from our circle teams. So please come off mute and tell us what has happened, what have you learned, and what's going on.
Everyone, JP here. So thank you for being here, and we're really excited to share kind of some of the results of this past weekend's governance and election fest that we held. So first, we wanted to have this slide to refresh in your minds the CC admin team. We are the support layer for the Catalyst Circle, helping them function and operate on the day-to-day, or on the week-to-week, I guess I should say. And also, we now recently have the new addition of the Treasury team, and the Treasury team will be helping or managing all of the funds that come in for the Circle's proposals, for the CC admin team's proposals, working with the Swarm and working with our other colleagues across the ecosystem to make sure that that we're accountable and we're being transparent. You know, we're here as a community, and we want people to have faith in us and have the legitimacy that we know we want to present. So next slide, please. I think this next slide's fast, so we're going to move into the election results. That's all. So perfect. So we have 5 seats that are elected for each circle currently. So community advisors, funded proposers, general aid holders, stake pool operators, and tool makers and maintainers. And we put a call out to the community a few weeks in advance, asking for nominees and people to either nominate themselves or someone to nominate them as they think they'd be a good fit. So this is the final list of the people who had confirmed their interest to run and who would be participating in the election fest. So going over this, we'll just give you the results now of each of these separate elections, and we'll show you who your new CCV3 is if you aren't aware. Next slide, please, Danny. So we'll start with the community advisor. We actually had a runoff election in the community advisor's room due to a tie. And so then there was the runoff voting form that was submitted and had 40 responses. So a good turnout. Everybody in the room participated. And the winner that we have here is Nadia Hopkins. I want to say, when I say winner, I should say successful candidate. I think just by participating and putting your name forward really shows your dedication to the community. And that's the type of, it's really inspiring, and that's the type of passion that we want in the circle. And so we're really, really excited to see all the names being put forward. Next slide, please, Danny. So for the funded proposers, we had a little bit of a less of a tight race, I should say, and we had Mercy winning by landslide, we can say, and we're really excited to have Mercy and her role on the circle with all of her experience with WADA and her real knowledge that she's bringing. So we're really excited to have that. So next slide. So for the general AIDA holder, as many of you may know, we switched this up last time where we voted in the plenary. So everybody could vote on the general AIDA holder rather than doing it in a breakout room where a select group would elect this person. And this came out of discussions at the circle that really, even though we may have specializations in funded proposers, CA, tool makers and maintainers, et cetera, that we're all general AIDA holders. And so therefore we thought that this seat is important to be elected by the community writ large who attended Governance Day rather than just a subset. So to this, we welcome Dimitri Fernando, and listening to, I was in the plenary, obviously hosting, and really excited to see, you know, a lot of his passion came through in his speech, and really is the type of thinking, I think, as an ecosystem that will continue to push us forward. Next slide, please. For stake pool operators, again, we had a little bit of a dominance here from Reese Morgan, and Reese has a lot of experience. I believe it was a Stoic pool, and he will be a great addition. I know that the previous stake pool operator really did a lot of work to engage the community, get them up to speed, make sure they're aware of their aware of the role that they could play in Catalyst. And so it's really good to see such a turnout, and we really look forward to having Reese on the team. And then last slide, or next slide, sorry. And tools makers and maintainers, we actually had a tie in the tool makers and maintainers room again. And through consensus, actually, we didn't put it to a runoff vote, but the two people who did tie were able to come to an agreement that Joey Schesser would be on the Catalyst Circle. And so I'm sure Aaron will remain and support Joey as much, but again, we look forward to working with the tool makers and maintainers community. Next slide. So here's the list of the representatives I just went through. We also want to acknowledge that there's 2 appointed members who will sit on CCV3. So for the Cardano Foundation, we have Bullish Dumpling, who will be attending. I believe she's been at a town hall before. I know she's done lots of presentations. She's everywhere in the community. I see her on Twitter and everywhere. So hopefully, you know who she is, and she's got a really excellent perspective that will be brought to the circle. And of course, we have Harris Warren, who is our OG IOG. He'll be there representing IOG and helping us work as we shift the transition of power from IOG to the community. And so Warren's been an excellent asset. I was lucky to work with him in CCV2. And so we're really looking forward to his participation on CCV3. So next slide. So we don't have pictures of everybody yet, unfortunately, but here are some pictures of your representatives. And we'll be doing the first onboarding meeting tomorrow, actually, at 1700 UTC. And we will be, as all meetings, we'll be recording the meetings, uploading them to the QA DAO. So we really want to be transparent so the community can see, even if you're not at the meeting, you can see what happened and you can share your thoughts with either CC admin team or your circle rep. Next slide. So if you want to dive in a little bit more to the election results, as I went over them a little bit quickly here, our good friends at QA DAO are excellent at documenting all of the pieces of the election. And so you can get the oversight Git book, the platform statements of what they were running on in the first place, the document of what are the criteria to be nominated, how is the election actually run, in case you were interested in that. And then we also have an AMA recording from the nominees, which is, I believe from the Election Fest that was taken. So I think we're going to the last slide here. I know I said it a few times, but I promise this is the last slide for me. So again, if you want some resources, we try to be as transparent and open, so you can look at the previous 2 circles if you're interested, and we will continue this process for CCV3. And we just again want to thank everybody for your participation, all the nominees for putting themselves forward, all the successful candidates. The CC admin team looks really forward to supporting you and working towards our better future in governance. So with that said, I'll mute myself again and let people go. So thanks, guys.
Thank you, JP. So that's amazing. Congratulations to everyone who participated, made the governance day happen, because it wasn't an easy feat. So everyone who was behind the scenes, all the moderators, all the organizers and everybody, thank you very much for putting it all together, because it definitely was quite a thing to pull off. Congratulations to everyone who actually made it to the circle. Just a quick highlight, I saw it in the chat as well. We are making a progress. We have 3 ladies on the circle itself, which is amazing progress on that front, given how we are trying to nurture the diversity of the environment. So I'm really, really looking forward to how the next circle works together. So thank you, everyone. Now we're almost coming towards the end. But before we do, we actually need to find out what is it that is happening these days with regards to the new fresh Fund 8 as such. Well, starting tomorrow, midday, the insight sharing stage begins. And we're asking there, what gaps do you see in how these challenges are currently addressed? And what are your own insights about addressing them? So what is missing? What are the key information that will bring clarity to all the proposals as they are navigating these challenges? Because as we chatted earlier, they're addressing very often quite wicked problems. So what kind of unique knowledge of information you can share with everybody that will make their proposals better? Now, do keep in mind that the proposal submission will be only a week later. Right now, what we're trying to do is trying to understand what the challenges are actually about. You're trying to look at it from multiple perspectives before you actually propose the solution. And why are we doing it? Well, the research actually really supports the thesis that if we talk about the problem and if we talk about the challenges before proposing solutions, it improves the outcome at the end for everybody. So I really encourage everyone for the next week to dive in, try to dissect, offer perspectives, 360 views, so we can collectively identify any blind spots in the situation and be able to actually propose a really good outcomes as such. And then Amazon, no. and then so what is next thing to do for us? Well, register in the idea scale if you haven't had your account, but it will be live from tomorrow. Pick a challenge that really you have something to say about, and then post your insight. Also, meanwhile, don't forget to join the announcements channel so that you'll be up to date with the latest as such. And the word of caution, please keep in mind that the next week is not for actually submitting the proposals. The insights do not equal proposals. Yeah, so this is not the time to submit them. That will begin next week on February 24th, and it will be open until March 3rd. So hold on tight. In terms of like what the timeline looks like, quick recap. We are now here in the insight sharing stage. So again, this will be open starting tomorrow up until February 24th. And then we're going to move into the actual proposal draft submission stage as such. So that's almost it for today. We will be looking forward to seeing you for the actual next town hall, because these things happen every week on Wednesday, 6 p.m. UTC, and we're going to be kicking off the proposal submissions as such. If this is your first time here with us, there's plenty of resources that we encourage you to jump through. Most notably, if it's a little overwhelming at this point, subscribe to the announcements channel and as well to the mailing list. And there's if you feel adventurous enough already, I invite you to look through the additional links, because there is a great wealth of information there. And that concludes the main part of today. And I would like to hand it over to the after town hall breakout team so that we can go and have a conversations with one another. So let me take it off the share, and Swarm, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Daniel. I hope everyone can see my screen. My name is Nadim Karam. I'm part of the admin team, and I'll be taking you through some of the events that are happening today, as well as some of the breakout rooms that you can expect shortly after this, this town hall. So starting first with the regular Catalyst Swarm session that's happening this Saturday at 1700 UTC. It happens this Saturday and every Saturday. It's open for everyone to join. Then we have the awesome people from Cardano for Climate, Changing the World. It is a community initiative for sustainable growth, and that's happening 1500 UTC every Wednesday. Then we have Innovation Networking session number 4. It's the fourth consecutive session where we'll talk about how can we improve the process of Catalyst and how can we make it more seamless. Then we have the regular Gimba Labs playground that's happening this Tuesday and every Tuesday at 1600. They're responsible. They build out all the tools and infrastructure that we enjoy across the ecosystem. So why do we do this? Everyone's encouraged to join, to connect with other Catalyst community members, to participate in meaningful conversations and collaborations, and to catalyze new ideas and improve processes together. We encourage everyone to get involved through these links, and you can support Catalyst Swarm. So the initial link on top is for the meetup, so you can keep up to date with all the events that are happening throughout the week. And then on the bottom, you have the stake pool of Swarm that was recently launched. And I would encourage everyone to try to get involved. Whether you can get involved physically, come join the meetings. If you can't, please stake with Swarm so that a lot of the great work and all the people that all the work that they're doing is voluntary and it's for free. And everything that we can do goes a long way to keep this going. And so breakout rooms happening right now. First, we have Kriss Baird hosting the challenge team workshop. As he just mentioned, that there's a new incentive system for the challenge team. So anyone interested in that can join this breakout room. We also have Juliana having a breakout room about women in blockchain. I heard a crazy statistic that only 5% of women are represented in the blockchain space, which is crazy. And we want better for Cardano, and anyone interested in that can join. We have Victor, who just mentioned the introduction to Catalyst. So anyone new here that is not very well aware of what's going on and wants to get more involved, that's a great place. Victor is a great mentor as well. Then we have Stephen, that is going to have an interesting breakout room about blockchain governance principles and Catalyst. And so they're going to go through the recent paper that was released by Professor Agilis Kiasis and others from IOHK. And so they're going to go through that paper and see how that translates into Catalyst and what we do. Then we have Felix that will have a breakout room on cross-chain collaboration. So this is actually a challenge that was funded in Fund 8. So anyone that's interested in proposing something along the lines of cross-chain collaboration is welcome to join this breakout room. We also have Catalyst, the CA discussions, community advisors discussions with Kenrick Nelson. So they'll be talking about how can they improve the process for Fund 8 and beyond. We have the usual Sala de Cafe from the LATAM community. Anyone that's interested to connect with the LATAM community members can join there. And then finally, Sebastian, he had the session last week, and now this week it's about an NFT alliance. So it seems like there's a lot of appetite for the Cardano NFT community to come up with an NFT alliance group. So must be interesting. With that, the final slide, if anyone's interested to host the breakout room for next week or anytime, you can join through this link, or you can scan that QR code and put in your request for which breakout room you'd like to host. With that, we'll end it there, and I'll pass it to Daniel for the final words.
Thank you very much, Nadim. As always, a lot to choose from. We will be doing our best to actually record all of these rooms as well, and they'll be posted online on the Catalyst Swarm YouTube channel post-fact. And otherwise, that's it for today for the major town hall. So again, I would be usually addressing our crowd on YouTube, but today the YouTube link unfortunately failed. So I will be just saying thank you very much, everybody who was here on the call today. We broke a little bit of record. The breakout rooms are now open. Go have a conversation. I think we've had enough of talking and listening to us. Now it's your turn. So thank you for your patience today, and have great conversations.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Daniel.